So yesterday I made a video saying reasons why I didn't like the LCS. So today I'm gonna give things and actions that I think the LCS can do to make the league better. First, I think one of the most simple things you can do is to increase the teams from 8 teams to 10 teams in the league. 8 teams, in my opinion, isn't enough competition, and having 2 less teams means that the LCS might be missing out on 2 storylines, 2 group of people that can maybe one day grow to compete with the top teams. Since LCS is in its developmental stage right now is what I would call it, and I feel like the LCS is basically restarting from zero. Now's the perfect time to add 2 more teams to the LCS. And I think they could even maybe do it in the middle of the split, before spring split or even before summer split. Because the last time they took 2 teams away from the LCS was between the spring split and the summer split. I don't see why they can't do the same here. Right now in the LCS, I feel like each team is like a growing seed or growing bud. And if we have 2 more seeds or 2 more buds, they can potentially grow into something great. But if we don't have those seeds, we'll just be missing out on 2 more opportunities to have a good team in the LCS. But I don't think adding 2 LCS teams will be that easy to do. Finding 2 more organizations that will want to be investing into the LCS, but with the addition of Sentinels, hopefully other organizations will follow in their suit and help see the vision that Sentinels has in helping the LCS to become as good as it once was. Rob Moore, the CEO of Sentinels, has an extremely good head on his shoulders, I think. Sentinels in Valorant has become extremely successful. He understands teams, he understands how to manage his company and organization's money, and most of all, he understands sports and the competitive nature and aspects of them. If you haven't seen any content with Rob Moore or any content with Sentinels, I highly suggest that you check them out, because the Sentinels team have a podcast and behind the scenes on their YouTube, and I can really feel the passion and how hard they want to win. And watching those podcasts, I can see the authenticity of their personalities, see them from outside of them just playing League of Legends. And I think it's quite charming how they talk about the team and how they're trying to improve themselves. Anyways, I think that I will be cheering for Sentinels as long as they win. We can't be bad all the time, right? Now that I think about it, it is kind of crazy how they lost to DSG. They stole DSG's entire roster just to lose to them. You really just can't have that be happening. The next thing I think the LCS can do, actually this is more of a team thing, I think they should be more selective in the people that they choose to import. As you know, LCS has a crazy Korean import thing. It's almost as if every team is desperate to sign a Korean player. Just because they're Korean doesn't mean they're good. But also, I've just never heard of most of these Korean players in my life. And it's not like these Korean imports are that much better than players from NA. What I mean is, give Surdy a chance. If you know who Surdy is, he's a top-ranked solo queue player who had previously held the NA solo queue LP record. He's known for being one of the best solo queue players in the region, so why are no teams giving him a chance in the LCS? He went on Dignitas for half a split, didn't do so hot, and never got another chance again. You're playing on Dignitas, for God's sake. That's like the worst organization in the LCS. I think it's expected that every player does bad on that team. With a poor management and coaching staff, how could anybody succeed? And it's not just Surdy either. We also have Shaden that was also on Dignitas. Although Shaden isn't the most charismatic person, as you can see from that interview incident he had, a team should definitely give him a chance back on an LCS team. Watching new players grow and struggle is how storylines are built. I'm less interested in you succeeding and winning as a team with a Korean import than I would be if you invested in players that have a lot more to prove. Like, imagine Inspired when they turned really, really bad at League of Legends. Do you think I would want to see him get replaced by a Korean import, or would I rather watch and see him become as good as he was again? And because we have such a crazy import problem, every time someone or something goes wrong, instead of working to fix the issue with the team or player, for some reason the only solution we have is to just swap the player out for a Korean import. That to me sounds like you don't know how to solve problems as a team. All you know how to do is put a band-aid solution on the problem, since you lack the ability to learn and improve and help your players. You as the person managing or the person in control of the players are incompetent. It's your responsibility as the person who manages the team and possibly the organization to have ways outside of just importing Korean players to help your team improve, which is why I personally have a big issue with C9. But they do have APAs this season, so I can only judge them as half as hard as I did last season. That brings me to my next point. Who do I want the LCS teams to be importing? I want them to be importing people who have something to prove and people who have interesting storylines. Seeing these teams import these random Korean players, boring. I've never seen or heard of these guys in my life. Import somebody that people already know about and people actually care about. Like, fuck it. Import M&S. That guy went out of the LCS with a bang to do military service. That guy, before he left C9, called out his entire team for being lazy as fuck. And then called out Huhi's mother for having awesome Korean cooking. And that was during his time of being one of the better mid laners in the LCS. If you guys didn't know, M&S was one of the C9 mid laners previously who was imported from Korea. Although he was really good at the game, he also had a brash personality, which caused some people to like him and some people to hate him. Basically, he's someone with a lot of history. Someone who I'd want to watch prove themselves, and someone who I would find interesting. We should also really consider importing more European players. Adam has been one of the LEC's best top laners, and now he finds himself without a team. Targum is someone who has been under a lot of fire in the European scene, is also someone I'd like to see prove himself, and the LCS will be a perfect place for him to do that in. Fuck it. Even add Whippo back in the LCS. I hate that guy with a passion, not because of the sexism thing, but for his poor character. But even though I hate him being in the LCS with all that drama surrounding him will be so interesting to watch. As well as, unfortunately, he's really good at the game. Even bring back Wash Perks to the LCS. Who cares if he sucks balls? I don't care, bro. Who knows? Maybe he can unwash himself and become one of the greatest mid laners ever again. So you see what I mean by importing people that have storylines, people that have something to prove, something that would generate interest. I get that the LCS teams are making teams to try to win, but winning by just importing Koreans isn't that inspiring at all. Especially ones that have nothing to prove. Which is why I really like what Team Liquid did this season. They chose their imports really carefully. And they also signed someone who has a lot to prove. Jose Diodo, their jungler, has previously played in the LCS, and he was amazing to watch. Eventually, after like a year or two in the LCS, he was benched and went to Brazil to play and went to the ERLs to play. Now that he's back on the LCS, he's looking incredible with his mid laner Quid. And they've also imported a Korean, but this Korean is different than the average Korean player that people import from just the Korean academy system. It's someone who has a lot of history, Lord Morgan. Morgan has been playing in the LCK for years and years on end. He's been a mid-tier top laner, and he has a lot to prove and is someone with a storyline. Finally, someone that actually matters, and finally, someone who I can watch try to prove himself to be one of the better top laners in the LCS. In my opinion, signing these two players shows a lot of integrity and respect to not just the players themselves, but towards League of Legends as a whole. Because you're rewarding people who have fought their entire lives to be good at the game and giving them an opportunity to prove themselves instead of just being a cheap Korean importer and signing whoever's high on the Korean ladder. Now that I'm thinking about it, another problem I don't like with the team signing LCK Academy players is that a lot of these teams are new and don't know what to do with Academy imports. Sure, these players are skilled mechanically, but you are a new team, you are a new organization. I highly doubt that you have the ability to coordinate people that don't speak the same language and make good team play out of that. So you'll be trying to improve your play on League of Legends with the debuff of a language barrier. Overcoming that language barrier is a skill and setback in itself. Adding that to the list of things you need to improve as a League of Legends team, I'm not sure if these newer organizations like DSG, Sentinels will be able to handle that. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you guys on the next one.